Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income with real estate. Listen and learn how 90% of the millionaires in the world use real estate to create a life that most people only dream about. A life that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here's your host, real estate investor and consultant, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I am your host, Steve Davis, where as always, we're talking about leading a life worth living by creating a second stream of income that meets and exceeds your wants and needs. The idea is that most people have a passion in life and they're not using it. They're in jobs that they took because of the money, because of parental pressure, even grandparents' pressure. My son went to college under duress because of pressure from grandparents. I was like, he doesn't need to go to college. I'll teach him how to build wealth without going to college. And there was just so much pressure, and like a dumb butt, I succumbed to it. And the first thing my son said when he graduated college, he had 11 rent houses when he graduated college. He goes, we just blew $80,000, didn't we? I said, yeah, we just blew $80,000 on college. He goes, we should have bought 4 more rent houses. And that's the reality of it. That's what people are doing. We're told to get a job, the highest paying job we get. We're not told the truth, which is get a job you love, get a job you're passionate about, get a job that creates happiness and joy. We're told get the highest paying job you get, as if money will solve all problems. People even leave their family, leave their hometown to take a job because it makes 10, 20 grand more than a job they could get in their hometown. Now, if you don't understand that that's a greed decision and not a high quality lifestyle decision, you need to think deeply about that, because that's a greed decision. You're not doing it because you love it. You're doing it because somebody offered you a few more bucks. You leave your family, you leave your friends, you leave everything you know, move across the country for a few extra bucks. But again, that's what we're taught. Get the highest paying job you can get. And somehow you're going to be able to create a life full of joy and happiness, even though you're doing something you don't really like. It's not going to happen. What we should be teaching our children is find your passion, find your purpose in life, and go fulfill it. Deepak Chopra did this with his kids. If you haven't read his work, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, and the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success have nothing to do with his religion or any other religion. Spirituality has nothing to do with religion unless you choose to make that your spirituality. So he told his kids from the time they were old enough to really ask about money not to worry about money. He said, look, don't worry about money. If you goof up and can't support yourself, I'll support you. You find your purpose. You find why you're here. You find how you're here to help and serve others. But before his kids even graduated college, they were both financially independent. Why? Because they found their passion. And it didn't even require the degree. The degree may have helped, but they were already financially independent before they graduated college. That's the system that works. Then they, of course, went on to build second streams of income, I'm sure. But that's what we're talking about. Build a second stream of income. Because most of us have done it backwards, we're in jobs that we don't love, so you don't have a choice. You kind of made some decisions, you're stuck in that position, and you got to stick with it because you've also made some decisions to create bills for yourself, car notes, house notes, vacations, jewelry, watches. You're in debt, so you really can't just quit that job. But there's a solution. Go out and build a second stream of income. Then as soon as the income from that second stream meets and exceeds your bills, we're not talking about your wants yet, your bills, then quit your job and go find a job you love. Something that makes you happy. Something that brings you joy. I feel so bad for people who don't look forward to Monday. And people who go, ooh, yay, it's hump day, we're halfway through. Or, thank God it's Friday. Come on, does your life suck that bad? The answer is yes. If you're looking forward to Friday, your life sucks. You designed your life very, very poorly. And I'm taking some of the blame off of you because it wasn't you that designed it in most cases. It was corporate America. It was advertising. And it was your parents. And you can't blame them because their parents taught them the same thing. So, in a nutshell, what we talk about on this show is building that second stream of income that allows you to take back control of what Tony Robbins calls your financial destiny. Your destiny. What do you want to do with your life? There was a story from Stephen Covey where this guy came up on stage, and Stephen Covey goes, I want you to pretend like you have millions of dollars. You do not have to work. What would you do with your time? And the guy goes, oh man, I'd buy woodworking tools. Okay, and what would you do with those? Well, first I'd build some really nice furniture for my family and my loved ones, and I would just do tons of woodwork and build beautiful pieces of furniture. Okay. But he continued. He goes, then I would teach all the kids in the neighborhood how to do woodwork, because they don't teach that in school anymore very much. I would teach kids how to do that type of woodwork to keep them busy, keep them out of trouble, and teach them a skill that they can use for the rest of their lives. And Covey goes, did you not know that there are jobs like that? The guy was dumbfounded because he had never thought that he could do a job like that because the pay would be so low. A teacher's pay is inordinately low, ridiculously low for the responsibility that they take. Teachers are awesome. They should be some of the highest paid people. They really should. Highest skilled, highest paid people should be our teachers. That's not the situation, is it? He never thought that he could be a teacher in a high school teaching woodwork, which was his true passion. Why? Because it wouldn't pay the bills. Why? Because he didn't have a second stream of income. He was never taught to do that, so he didn't do that, and therefore he took a job he was miserable at when he really wanted to do something different. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We will talk more after the break. You're listening to AM 700 KSED, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Catastrophes happen in the U.S. and around the world on a regular basis, causing tremendous financial difficulty for those unprepared. However, some people are prepared. These are the people with a second stream of income. This month, we are offering a free 2-hour workshop on how to use real estate to build a second stream of income for your family. For reservations, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Remember, you can always find us online at GetRealWealth.com if you've got questions about our coaching and so on. We have a free workshop. It's in the upper right-hand corner of the homepage, maybe on every page, who knows. Let's talk just a couple more minutes about this concept of having that second stream of income and how it changes your life and improves your quality of lifestyle in infinite ways. There is nothing more peaceful than having that second stream of income. A gentleman came in and joined today, and or he may have joined the other day, I'm not sure. But he's a new member. He did not do this under my coaching or anything like that. But he has like 9 rent houses. And he just had this feeling, or no, that's a different guy. I think it was 19 rent houses. 19 rent houses. And he just had a different feeling for the COVID event. He got furloughed. He didn't care because he had 19 rent houses. You know, even at $300 a month, that's close to $6,000 cash flow. And I know a lot of you are going, yeah, but it's hard to collect rent during COVID. Sorry. Yeah, if you mismanage your property, if you didn't screen your tenants, there's some major problems with those properties. But if you did, one of my other partners and close friend, she actually had 2 of her biggest months, the last 2 months at her apartment complexes. Highest collection months ever the last 2 months. So don't lie to yourself and say that COVID hammered the real estate investor. I'm not saying it didn't affect us, but not the way it affected the people without a second stream of income. But anyway, it was just, he was the guy, you know, they come in, they lay off, they come into your office and they'll lay off all 40, say, employees. 39 of them are weeping and screaming and crying and begging for their jobs, and one person merrily packs their cardboard box full of their stuff and just walks out. What's the difference? They had a second stream of income. The other 39 didn't. That's the position I suggest you put yourself in. So yesterday on the show, I talked about flipping to passive income, or passive income to flipping, depending on your position. If you've got money to deploy, it is recommended, highly recommended, that you deploy your money first into passive investing, keeping just enough money to be able to flip, to generate more capital, to do more passive investing. Because in many programs, they don't incorporate flipping. They're just, how do you say, really everyone I know, to be honest with you, they're just into syndication, passive investing. And there's multiple ones out there, but the problem is, even if you walk in there with $1 million, you eventually place all $1 million, then what do? You just try to save up another $1 million? Well, it took you 25 years to save up the $1 million. You don't have another 25 years to do that. That's where flipping comes in. And flipping is an incredible way to generate capital, to allow yourself to do more passive investing. Or you could live off of it. But remember, if you do that, that's more of a job. It is a job. You know, you got to buy a house, rehab it, sell it, buy a house, rehab it, sell it, buy a house, rehab it, sell it, and you just got to do it over and over and over and over again. So it's not advisable to use it as a job, because then it becomes a job. Now, where's the exception to that rule? What if you're the creative type? This guy, Brian, please, Brian, if I get your name, get this story wrong, forgive me, you can email me and correct me. But Brian Upton, who is no doubt a real estate investor genius, started off flipping homes. Now he builds $1.5–2 million homes because he's that creative type. And I think his wife helps him, you know, pick colors, pick tile, design the house. And their houses are, I'm telling you, spectacular. Their passion is that. Even though I call it a job, it's their passion. It's okay if it's your passion. But if you're doing it just to get the money, flipping gets old real quick. Just like any job that's not your passion gets old real quick. So be cautious. Flipping is a job, and if you listen to yesterday's show, I taught you how to use flipping just long enough to get your passive income, and then go back and do whatever it is that really is your passion, including more flipping, but only if it's your passion. I actually enjoy it, not as much as teaching, but I enjoy rehabbing property, whether it's to rent it out afterwards or to flip it, but to take something that has been neglected. You know, as corny as this sounds, a sad house. A house that's been neglected. A house that's been allowed to go to be, how do you say this, dilapidated? It's fun to go in there, rip everything out, pick new colors, pick new tiles, make it the most beautiful house in the subdivision. I can see why people love that, because I enjoy it. Again, not as much as teaching, that's why I chose to teach, but it is fun. So let's talk about there are 12 steps right now, but I'm working hard on my flip and wholesale class that's coming up July 15th. Yeah, July 15th for my members. So I've come up with the 12 steps that I can think of at this point. It may end up being 20 steps, but I'm going to give you the 12 that I've got so far using my research. Now, I want to share with you a book by a man named Fan Merrill. It's called The Wholesaler's Bible, or the Bible of Wholesaling, one or the other. Do you know that when I read that book, I went, man, this guy stole everything from me. I'm sure if he hears this radio show, he's going to go, man, this guy stole everything from me. Because it's the same. There's no secrets out there. It's the same. It's been the same for hundreds of years, probably thousands of years, for these steps. So if you want to study this more, I highly recommend that book. Now, I am going to say something negative about a thing called, I think it's called Fortune Builders. They charge $35,000 or $50,000, something like that, to get a mentor. That's not necessary. And that's the only thing I'm going to say negative. Let's go to the 12 steps to a successful flip deal. The first thing is you got to find the deal. That's step one. So the way that I teach, it's actually step 1 and 2. Step 1 and 2 cover finding the deals. The first thing that I teach my students to do is line up 24 real estate agents that know them by name, know what they're looking for, and bring them their listings only. We do not talk to selling agents. We only deal with listing agents. We want their listings. Why? Because if they're the listing agent and they sell it to us, this ensures that they get all 6% of the commission. That's the position you want to be in, where every one of your agents gets paid the highest amount possible. Because if they do, who are they going to call first whenever they find a steal deal? They're going to call you. The other reason I only want the listing agent is because the listing agent knows the seller, knows the property, and knows why they're selling. So there's many advantages to dealing with the listing agent. But please understand, you don't need selling agents. You need listing agents. And then make sure they get all 6% of their commission. Number 2 is line up 24 or more wholesalers. And the way to meet them is at Real Wealth Academy events or other clubs and meetups, meetups.com. You can find wholesalers that way. You can also call bandit signs, because those bandit signs, almost all of them are wholesalers. They say, I buy houses cash, quick. That's a wholesaler. They're not really buying them. You are. but they find the deal and bring it to you. So think about this. Right now, while I'm chatting with you, I'm 48 people looking for real estate deals. Does it make sense that sometimes I'll be on this show and somebody will email me a deal while I'm sitting here? I'll be doing a show and find a real estate deal. That's a thing called leveraging your time, and it is very important that you do that. Because, again, go back to the beginning of the show, most of you have 40, 50-hour-a-week jobs. You don't want to be out there looking for property yourself. Leverage your time by getting these 48 people to find the deals for you. Okay, we got to go to break. We'll talk about 3 through 12 when we come back from the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you've got a question for me, give me a call at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSED. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Real estate accounts for more millionaires in America than any other investment vehicle. This second stream of income can truly change your life. More time for travel and romance, more time for family and fitness, more time for whatever you want to do with your life. To find out how to build this second stream of income, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop on real estate investing. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We are talking about the 12 steps to a successful flip deal, with the warning that this number may increase by July 15th, and I'll redo this in the middle of July once I've got the complete list. But this is enough for you to get out there and do something. Just make sure you're writing these down. I'm trying to go slow and spend enough time on each one that you can do it. The third thing is you've got to subscribe to a comparable sales online software program. There's no getting around this. We use HomeInvestorTool.com, HIT for short, HomeInvestorTool.com. Why do you have to subscribe to this? Because you have to run your own comparable sales. You do not trust agents to run your comparable sales. You do not trust wholesalers to run your comparable sales. You do not trust Zillow, the worst on the planet at comparable sales. You do not trust anybody but yourself. So there are other tools out there, but again, our product is HomeInvestorTool.com. So the third point, once an agent or a wholesaler brings you a deal, the first thing you do is find out the ARV by going to HomeInvestorTool.com, typing in the address, and hitting go. And it will show you the CMA, the market average, the ARV, and so on. Then you go to a little tab called Repairs at HomeInvestorTool.com to do a rough estimate of the repairs. Now, is this going to be an accurate estimate? No, it's going to be high. But you've got to do it. You cannot trust the agent. You cannot trust the wholesaler's estimate for the bid. You get the bid that they have for you, if they even have one. Many times they just have a number. They're going to say something like it's $40,000 in repairs. So it's going to be very difficult to do this. Sometimes you'll go with their number and do everything subject to confirming that. And I'll explain that in a moment, how I'm able to pull that off. Because a lot of wholesale deals do not give you 3 days to get a written bid. They want hard earnest money up front. In your initial stages as a flipper, don't do those deals. So you're going to say, well, doggone it, that's most of the deals. Yep. But you're new. You don't know what you're doing. You need to have a minimum of 3 days to get your contractor out there and get a written bid for the repairs so there's no mistakes made. So either use their bid, if they've got a bid that's broken down by new paint, new carpet, then use the home investor tool estimate for repairs. Number 5, while you're going to back out the numbers to get your maximum bid. Back out the numbers to get your maximum bid. Let me make sure that I didn't confuse you. Let's go through 1, line up 24 agents. 2, line up 24 wholesalers. 3, subscribe to an online comparable sales service like homeinvestortool.com and run the comparable sales to find the after repaired value, ARV. 4, use that same program, Home Investor Tool, to do a rough estimate of the repairs based on the square footage of the house. And then 5 is back out the numbers to get your maximum bid. So what you do is you take the ARV that you got from homeinvestortool.com and you subtract the rehab costs, the closing costs, 4 to 6 months of holding costs. Again, if it's a more expensive home, you better hold on to 6 months of holding costs. If it's a $250,000, $300,000 home, you only need about 4 months. You've got to subtract your profit and 6% commission. When you subtract all those things from the ARV, that is your maximum bid. Now, I hope that makes sense. Let me review it. You take the ARV, subtract the rehab, closing costs, 4 or 6 months of holding costs. What are the holding costs? Your mortgage payment, insurance, and taxes for 4 months, or 6 months if it's a $400,000 or more house. Then you subtract 6% of the ARV, which will be your commission to the agent who sells the property for you. Oh, I forgot one thing. Then you figure out what profit you want to make. Now that sounds ridiculous. Oh, I want all the profit I can get. Well, that's not going to happen. On these two $250,000 homes, you're going to make about 30 grand on a flip. Can you make more than that? Certainly. So it's really 30 grand to whatever you can get. Sometimes you get a great deal right out of the blocks. But I'm not going to even write the offer if I don't have the potential to make $30,000. If it's a $400,000 house, I want to make $50,000. So somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 is my minimum. So hopefully now you understand my target flip deal is between $250,000 and $400,000. I don't like to go above $400,000 because the days on market becomes very, very long. Coincidence? Yes. But common? Also yes. Yesterday, 2 young people, I'm talking about not even 30 yet, I don't think, both told me a story about how they flipped these high-end homes. The first home he made $200,000, the second he lost $300,000. No, he made $300,000 on his first one, second one he lost $200,000. The other guy told me the same story. He did 2 and 1, made money on the first 2 and lost all the money on the third one. Neither of them had mentors, so that was their problem. They didn't have coaches, they didn't have consultants, so they were out there doing it on their own. They didn't know what they were doing. But guess what price range those houses were in? You got it, the high end, 800 plus. So stay away from those as a rule. Now, once you get experience with the 250 to 400, then slowly move up. Maybe you do a $600,000 deal. Get that one done. Then do an $800,000, then a $1 million deal, and so on, if that's your goal. So that's what I mean by back out the numbers. Take out all the expenses and your profit. That's your maximum bid. Number 6, write your offer. Escrow the contract at a title company and get control of the property with a 3 to 7 day option period. If you're getting it from a realtor, you're going to get 5 to 7 days option period. usually costs you about 25 bucks a day, so about 150 bucks. Is that right? No, 175 bucks. If you only do 3 days, it'd only be 75 bucks. But if I'm dealing with the realtor, I'm going to ask for 5 days minimum to do my inspection, to get my bid, and make sure I want the deal. But with some of these wholesalers, you don't have that long. You got 3 days, so you got to move quick. 7, get your contractor to the property within the option period to verify the rehab costs. If the rehab cost is higher than expected, then go back to the seller and retrade the deal. In other words, lower your offer or back out. If the bid is as expected, let me repeat that. If the bid is as expected, close the deal. Don't get greedy and retrade the deal. Don't ever complain about a profit. Don't ever complain about a profit or get greedy. Now, what did I just say? Close the deal. 7 and 8 happen at the exact same time. You close the deal, and then 8, hand your contractor a check and the keys at closing. Not the next day, not a week later. Have your contractor say, look, I'm closing at a Texas American Title on so-and-so street. We close at noon. Meet me there at 1, and I'll hand you the keys. Get that work begun that day. Then, the next day, or the day after, as soon as possible, meet your contractor at Floor & Decor, at Lowe's, and pick out the parts. Give them your preference. Here's where people get in trouble. Ego. Ego. They want it perfect for them. They think their taste is better than everybody else's. Let me give you a warning. Those of you ladies and gentlemen who think your taste is better than everybody else, nobody likes your stuff. You ready for this? If you think your stuff is so nice, go try to sell it. You'll find out real quick how nice your stuff is when nobody buys it. You go spend all this money, and wallpaper's coming back in fashion, I hear. Go put up wallpaper. You love it. Greatest thing in the world. Everybody else hates it. Sorry, that's the way it is. Get your ego out of it. You're not a designer. Your contractor, however, who's been in 100 rehabs in the last year, does know what's selling, does know what works. So take some of your advice and let the contractor pick some of the colors, because they know what's moving in the marketplace. Okay, we'll talk more about this when we come back from the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. You can call me at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. Are you tired of losing money in every down market? Did you know that real estate makes money in both the up and down markets? In fact, we make more money in the down market. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Yes, we are praying for a down market, and you should know why. To find out why, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're working on the steps to a successful flip deal, and I'm hacking away and got a couple of funny emails, both from ladies about their taste. If you're a professional interior designer, I'm not talking to you. I didn't mean that to insult interior designers. I meant it to insult the average person who thinks their taste is better than everybody else's. And who knows, I might not even like your taste, but there are certain colors. See, my dogs agree with me. There are certain colors that sell. They're, agreeable gray, Killam beige, both Sherwin-Williams colors. I'm sure they spent millions of dollars of research to come up with those colors, millions, because they are everywhere, and they lease instantly. They sell instantly. See, you don't want to put a bunch of accent walls in that you like. You want to put a basic color that every person can imagine putting their own accent walls in. Does that make sense? Killam beige and agreeable gray are two of those colors if you want to write those down. Both, again, from Sherwin-Williams. So I did not mean to, offend any interior designers. I love interior designers. Do I use them on my flips? Absolutely not, because you guys are too specialized as a rule. You're looking, an interior designer, to me, I would hire one for my own home to make it the way I want it. But I would not hire one to make it the way that the masses would want it. And who am I selling to when I flip a house? The masses. So, sorry if that offended you. Love you both, but that was my only point. Okay, hand your contractor, 8, hand your contractor a check and the keys at closing. 9, meet the contractor as soon as possible at Floor & Decor, Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever you're going to buy your parts. Get those parts picked out immediately. Let him purchase them and get them at the house so when they need them, they're there. 10, visit the property about once a week or more if requested by the contractor to check on progress. Do not be a micromanager. If you think you're supposed to go there every day, you are a micromanager. Stay away. Let the contractor do their job. Have a little faith. Now, if you go there at the end of the first week and nothing's done, then you might want to go every day. But if they're not there for 3 days in a row, fire them and get a new contractor. Now, I've been fortunate because I have always been a member of a club. I've always had reliable contractors, but that does happen out there for people who are, if you guys are doing this on your own and you're not a member of a club like Real Wealth Academy, you're taking a big risk with your contractors that you wouldn't be taking if you were a member of Real Wealth Academy. So again, do not be a micromanager. Let the contractor do their job. Go really no more than once a week. Then, optional, upon completion of the rehab, not before. Do not try to sell the property before rehab is complete. 1, it's dangerous. There's parts all over the floor. It's not finished. 2, people don't have an imagination, as a rule. And we're talking about a strong rule. Probably 80-90% of people, when they see a piece of crap house beat up, torn apart, they cannot imagine what it's going to look like when it's finished. You're wasting your time. 3, it becomes stale on the market. You list this thing 3 months before it's done, or a month before it's done. Next thing you know, you got a month-old listing. It's stale on the market. You want to finish the rehab, put it on the market with excitement, with enthusiasm, and get that offer as soon as possible. If it does not, if you do the optional number 11, try to sell it yourself for 30 days. About the 20th day, go hire a realtor. Realtors now, some of you are going to go, well, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. You said you don't like realtors. Now you're saying you love realtors. That's not what I said. I said I don't like 80% of realtors, but I love the top 20%. But that's the same with attorneys. It's the same with painters. It's the same with contractors. It's the 80-20 rule. I don't like 80% of the people out there in their business, but I love the top 20%. If you have the top 20% realtor, they are worth their weight in gold because they have mad skills at showing property, they have mad skills at marketing the property, and they have mad skills at getting people to sign on the line that is dotted. So use a realtor as quickly as possible. The reason I say on the 20th day is so you have them lined up. So on the 30th day, you gave yourself the full 30 days to sell it yourself. They put that sign in the front yard and that thing is on MLS the 30th day. Don't wait till the end of the 30 days to begin finding your agent. And step 12, sell the property and collect your check. That's it. There's your steps to a successful flip deal. Is it as easy as it sounds on this radio show? Absolutely not. It's scary as heck the first time you do it. It's really scary as heck every time you do it. Remember what we talked about yesterday. It's not that you're ever not afraid. It's just that you do it anyway. Now, you do get less and less and less and less and less afraid, but there's always still that fear. I joked yesterday about I'm buying 2 apartments right now, I'm passively investing in 2 apartments by the end of the year. I'm nervous. Will this be the deal that takes me down? And I've been at this for 30 years. So don't think you're ever going to wake up one day and just have no fear whatsoever and be super courageous and go out there and take over the world. The people who take over the world are still a little afraid. A little bit. Even with all their massive experience. All right, if you've got a question for me, give me a call. 281-558-5738. 281-558-KSEV. 281-558-KSEV, or you're welcome to email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. And of course, members, if you listen to this and you have a question, you have my phone number, or you have your coaches at the office, call. I will get this document to them today, and then as I modify it between now and the 15th when I teach this class in July, I'll keep them updated as well. Okay, let's go to email now, see what kind of questions we've got. Okay, this first one's from Chris. Do you ever go to the auction.com? Auction.com can be good and bad. It's just like any source for deals. You've got to be subscribed to a service where you can run the comps, evaluate the property. It's just another source. What people sometimes think is that there's some secret source or something like that. There really isn't. I get them from agents, from auctions, from wholesalers, from friends, from attorneys, all over the place. You just want to make sure that you have the word out to everyone you know, that you buy property, and you'll be surprised where you find your first deal. Man, I wonder, no, that wasn't him. The very first flip deal at Real Wealth Academy was found from a friend, not from an agent, not from a wholesaler, was found from a friend. So keep that in mind. That may be your first deal as well. But auction.com is great. Just make sure you're subscribed to a service like homeinvestortool.com so that you can get the true ARV, you know the value of the property, you know what the repairs are, and you can move forward. Okay. We are at the end of the show, so let me get my email address out a couple more times. It is asksteve@getrealwealth.com. All right. They're saying, I just got an email. I'm talking to my producer now. They're saying that nobody's answering at 281-558-5738. This guy's funny. This guy goes, "You're talking to me. I have no taste. When you said about college is so true. I'm rehabbing a house and my foundation contractor was 27 and from Guatemala. He came here illegally At 16, he started doing foundation work. He learned it when he first got fired. He started his own business. Wow. That is amazing. Okay, very funny. You got better taste than you think, I'm sure. But thank you so much for the email. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.